Hi everybody, I'm Mike, and this is Mike Tries Motorsports, the only show on YouTube with its very own gravitational wave generator. Alright everybody, we're here in the garage, and we're going to get the Audi ready to go to another Friday at the track tomorrow. We're going to make another attempt. Last time we had some braking issues, the brakes were overheating and probably catching on fire. I've got brand new brake pads for it, I've got some brand new fresh fluid for it, so we're going to push some AMSOIL .3 and .4 fluid, it's a .3-4 compatible fluid through it, with a slightly higher boiling point than the Prestone fluid. It's not racing brake fluid, I didn't have time to get that, and we're probably not going to be worrying about boiling fresh fluid, even OEM fluid at this point with this car. So I've got that fluid, I've got some motor oil, a new filter, and coolant to put in the car as well. I'd like to do all of those things if possible. We've only got a couple of hours to do it. So first things first, we're going to get this car out of the garage, we're going to get this on jack stands, and we're going to get you in time lapse. Okay, now, as long as these are the right pads and the pistons aren't, as long as these pads aren't too worn, this should be really easy. I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the brakes on a proper brake caliper. Step 1, add light. Step 2, pull the pin. It's just a hairpin. Step 3, pull this other pin. And watch out for that spring, because it'll come off. Don't lose the orientation of the spring or the pin. Probably push the pistons back in. Oh yeah, check that out. Pad 1 out, pad 2 out. Look at that. And it looks like these are exactly the same pads. Pad 1 in. Hey, that looks good, doesn't it? Pad 2 in. Might have to work to get the pistons retracted a bit more. Okay, I figured it out. The back of the pads actually has these pads don't have it. These pads here have sort of a kind of a rougher compound on the back of them. It's an anti-squeal backing, I believe. These have a kind of a rubbery one. It's like a thick tape, and that just creates some friction when you slide it in. It wasn't a lot of it. I just slid it in. So now the next step is to, well, the installation is the opposite of removal. Make sure this is clean. I've had it out before and very recently, so it's clean enough. Light. We're going to put the spring on the back here. We're going to slide the pin through everything on top of the spring, the correct orientation, through the pads, which might not be in all the way. There it is. And through the other side. And let's make sure the hole is lined up. And it is, perfectly. So I can grab the pin, simply slide it in place. We've got nice, brand new front brake pads that haven't been on fire before, which is good. So, see how these do tomorrow. On to the next side. Okay, I've got the brake pads changed. In the interest of time, I'm going to do part of the job. I'm going to skip a step here. I've already got the passenger side rear corner of the car off the ground, and that's the corner that's farthest from the master cylinder. The next best wheel to do would be the other rear wheel, but this is the second best next wheel to do. So I'm just going to do this side of the car, and then I'm going to jack the other side up again, and I'm going to do the back of that side, the driver's side, and then the front of the driver's side. And that's probably going to be good. I'm flushing all the fluid out anyway. Maybe this will just take longer. So see how it goes. This is how I'm going to do the job. This is a one-way check valve. There's a ball and a spring inside of this, and the ball closes off the valve, so the fluid is only allowed to flow in one direction. With this, I can get inside. See, there's actually a little arrow right there. With this, I can actually hook this up on the brake caliper, open the bleeder on the brake caliper, drop this end in a bottle, and just pump the pedal a bunch of times. And it'll just pump fluid through this only in one direction, and it won't let it suck air back into the system. So this is an important tool for bleeding brakes yourself and doing it efficiently. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and bleed the brakes in the car, change the oil, and I'm probably going to skip the coolant for now. The coolant that's in it is fresh, so so is the oil, but I'd like to have fresh oil. I'd like to change the oil one more time before I beat on the car at the track. I'd feel a whole lot better. So I'm going to try to do those two things in the next maybe 25 or 30 minutes, and in order to do that, I'm going to have to cut off filming for now, but hopefully the next scenes you see, or maybe the next episode, we'll see, will be at Summit Point Raceway. We'll be on the Jefferson circuit tomorrow if all goes well. I've never been there before, and I'll probably talk a little bit about this tomorrow later in the video. But the important thing about that is that it'll be my first time on this racetrack, and I'm going to have to be learning it just like everybody else. So hopefully there are some lessons that I learned that translate well to all the viewers at home. Here we are in beautiful Charlestown, West Virginia at Summit Point Motorsports Park. This is the Jefferson circuit. Now, as many times as I've been to this facility, I've never actually been on Jefferson. So what you are going to see is me attempting to learn the layout of the track. I'll walk you through what I'm thinking about and what I'm looking for while I'm out there. Before I go out for the first time, I want to study the track to the best of my ability. A good way to do this is to simply watch a couple of videos of other people driving around on the track. Avoid using this as a how-to teaching aid, and instead just focus on learning what the facility actually looks like. Also be aware that your track may offer different configurations. Try to find a video that was filmed on the same configuration that you will be running on, if you can. You'll also want to study the track map. Try to memorize not only the layout, but also the location of the corner stations. Most tracks have large maps printed in centralized locations, such as inside classrooms. Go find these and see what you can learn. On your first lap out on the track, your first order of duty is to find all of those corner stations. Try to be on time to your first session, because many organizations will start off the first session with a full course caution, which means each station will display 2 bright yellow flags, making it easier for you to spot them. It is important to find these stations because the corner workers running them are probably your only communication with the outside world, other than the hand signals that drivers in your immediate vicinity may be able to use. As you go about your day, try to find fixed reference points around the facility that might serve to help you place the car accurately and consistently. Great question, broken spark plug on a stick. Fixed reference points are distant objects like trees, buildings, fence posts, utility lines, or barriers that are unlikely to move throughout the day. You use fixed reference points to give your car something to point toward so that you can string the corner exit of the previous turn to the turn-in point of the next. They have the added benefit of giving you something distant to look at, which drags your eyes away from what's going on immediately in front of you, giving your brain more processing time. This helps slow things down. Notably, RVs, people, and other such mobile objects are not really suitable because they can move around and will not be reliable for you. The fastest drivers at the end of the day were often the ones who took the time to learn the course at the beginning of the day. If this is your first time on the track, or on a track, take your time getting around it in your first session or two. Don't be that guy. and go flying off in turn 1 on your very first lap, causing a caution and scattering debris all over the place. Also, try not to be a rolling roadblock either. It is a racetrack. Now, I might have been doing this a little bit during my first couple laps here at Jefferson, but I did make sure that I went out the back of the pack so that I didn't hold anybody up. It was a new car and a new track, so just do your best. Overall, it was a fun day. The brakes worked well, and I'll be happy to use this brake combination for the time being. The car had other heat-related issues, though. The coolant was getting too hot, and I think this was causing the oil to get hot and drop in pressure at idle. So I was getting a coolant warning indication along with a rising temperature gauge. And then when I would drop down to idle, after I pulled into the paddock, I would have an oil pressure warning trigger for a few seconds. In order to preserve the engine, I was cutting my sessions early because of these issues, and I ended up only doing 3 out of the 4 sessions allotted that day because I just wanted to preserve the car. I suspect a couple of issues contributed. First, I didn't install the belly pan that attaches under the engine. This is important because it forces air through the radiator and draws it up the back of the engine compartment. All of this is to aid flow through the radiator instead of around it. Second, I don't think that I bled the coolant system correctly, so there was probably air in the system. And finally, I think this was a major contributing factor. The air conditioner condenser, which sits in front of the radiator, is pretty badly damaged from years of absorbing rocks and impacts. Many of the fins are bent so badly that they're completely blocked. I think this is blocking air to the radiator. I'll address these issues by installing the belly pan before my next track day. I have one, I just removed it to change the oil and didn't have time to put it back on. I'll also either remove or replace the AC condenser. It has to come off anyway if I'm going to replace it, so I'll take it off, and I suppose in the spring, if the car doesn't get turned into a full-fledged race car, I'll install a new condenser and some other important components for the air conditioner and get the system working again. I already bled the coolant system as part of my post-track day work. In fact, I flushed it completely, so that issue has been taken care of. I believe I bled it properly, as I finally have heat in the car, which I didn't really have reliable heat up until very recently. And finally, I don't know the condition of the radiator, but it probably wouldn't hurt to install a new one. The old one could simply be clogging up from years of use. I'll tackle some of these issues in the next episode. As for the next couple of episodes after that, I hope to get the car to the drag strip at least once before the end of the 2021 season. I suppose I'll also need to make a final determination on whether this car is going to be a suitable race car as well. Because once I start tearing it apart and installing safety gear in it, there is no turning back. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you're interested in what we're doing here. I'm Mike, and this has been Mike Tries Motorsports. Keep it shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next one.